From a first ever bologna sandwich to authentic New York garlic knots. This week, I have a bunch of fun and easy lunch ideas to share with you. I'm Jennifer, and welcome to Subscriber Lunch Sunday. Whether you're going to school or to work or just staying home, these videos will definitely give you the lunch inspiration you need. Now let's get started. I'm kicking off today's video with a lunch idea sent in by Howie. Howie is 11 years old and is from Canada. My first step for Howie's lunch is to make a sandwich that I've never made before on this channel, and in fact, I don't think my kids have ever tried this either. For Howie's lunch today, I'm going to be making a bologna sandwich. Now, as I was getting ready to make this lunch, Lily saw this on the counter and she said, "Mom, what is bologna?" And I said, well, think of it kind of like a hot dog, but it's just flat, like lunch meat. Let me know in the comments down below if you are a fan of bologna or if you're not. I remember having a lot of bologna sandwiches as a child myself, but I haven't eaten it for years. So I'm using 2 pieces of wheat bread. To these, I'm adding a squirt of mayo. I decided to try the squeezy mayonnaise. I thought it would be a lot faster than using a knife. Next, I'm going to break into this package of bologna. And let me just say, this is a very familiar smell. It makes me think of elementary school. So on goes a slice of bologna. I'm just gonna add 1. Next, I'm gonna add lots of fresh lettuce, and I'm going to top that with 2 juicy slices of tomato. Now I'm gonna go ahead and close up the sandwich. This guy is pretty hefty. Next, I'm going to try my best to cut this diagonally. I think it'll fit much better in the lunchbox that way. And to keep our sandwich from falling together, I'm going to add in these little star-shaped picks right down in there, just like that. Functional and totally cute. Would you look at all those layers? And now it's time to move on to some fruit. I'm going to be putting 2 different kinds in Howie's lunch. For the strawberries, I'll go ahead and cut the tops off and slice them in half. And then for the cherries, I'm going to go ahead and leave them whole, but I think I'll remove the stems. My next step is to prepare the veggies. Now, just like the fruit, we're doubling up on the veggies. Howie requested both sweet peppers and cucumber. For the sweet peppers, I'm going to just slice them into strips, perfect for dipping. I'm going to add a few of the red and the yellow. My personal favorite are definitely the red ones. I think they're a little bit sweeter. And then for the cucumber, I'm going to go ahead and use my crinkle cutter to make these look extra fun. You guys will probably notice I have a lot of my old kitchen tools back. We finally unpacked them from their boxes, and I'm super excited to be able to use these in my lunches. Okay guys, now this is looking so beautiful and colorful. I love the way it's looking so far. I did go ahead and add a little container of ranch, perfect for dipping the peppers and the cucumber in, but there are a few missing items I still need to add. I'm adding 1 yogurt tube in a strawberry flavor and 1 granola bar with chocolate chips. Those ones are soft and chewy and they are so good. And then for the special treat, Howie requested cookies. So I decided to go with these mini chocolate chip cookies. These are actually the chocolate chunk cookies from Pepperidge Farm, so they are extra good. And then to complete Howie's lunch, the last thing I'm going to add is a juice pouch. This is just a Capri Sun in the fruit punch flavor. Pretty classic. And there you have it. That's everything in Howie's lunch. Next up, I'm going to be making Natalie's lunch. She is 13 years old and is from New York. For the main course of Natalie's lunch, I'm going to need the thermos because this is going to be a hot lunch. For her lunch today, she requested cheese ravioli. Now, the excellent thing about raviolis are that they cook so fast. Just about 3 or 4 minutes is all they need. I'm gonna go ahead and drain off all the water from these, and then I'm going to add in some warmed up marinara sauce. This one has tomatoes, obviously, but there's also basil and garlic in there. It is so good. Now, there's actually no meat in this sauce at all, so this is a great dish for you vegetarians out there. Now it's time to stir this all together. I wanna make sure that all of the raviolis are covered in sauce. This is smelling so good, you guys. Now, to go along with the ravioli, Natalie also requested some garlic knots. Now, these taste just like garlic bread, but they're in a really fun shape. I found these ones at Walmart, and I thought these would be perfect because they say they are New York style. And since Natalie is from New York, I thought she would like these best. Now these garlic knots come fully cooked, but they're frozen, so I'm just gonna pop them into my oven for about 4 to 5 minutes until they're warmed through and then lightly golden on the outside. And just like that, they are done. So quick and easy, and now my entire house smells like the Olive Garden. It smells so garlicky and delicious. Now that that is done, it's time to move on to some fruit. For Natalie's lunch, she requested a combination of grapes, so I just have some green grapes here, and to go along with those, she also requested cantaloupe. So I have this whole cantaloupe here. I'm going to use my melon baller to make cantaloupe balls. This is actually really easy to do. You just have to make sure that your cantaloupe is not too old and mushy, because then the cantaloupe balls don't really turn out very well. And now it's time to prepare some veggies. And again, just like for the fruit, we're doubling up on those veggies. For this lunch, I'm going to be adding some carrots and some broccoli. But I'm not quite ready to put them in the lunchbox yet because Natalie prefers cooked broccoli and carrots. So I'm going to go ahead and steam these up before I add them in. And here's a really interesting request. Natalie really enjoys dipping her carrots in ketchup. So I'm going to make sure to put a little container of ketchup with her lunch. Okay guys, so far so good. I have filled the lunchbox. This is looking awesome. And now that that is done, it's time for a treat. Now, Natalie actually requested chocolate covered rice cakes, but unfortunately I could not find those at the store. But I did find chocolate flavored rice cakes, which are pretty close and very tasty. So I went ahead and broke up the rice cake so I could fit it into this little container. Next up, I'm adding Natalie's snack. She requested some sour cream and onion chips, so I went with the Pringles. I like that these come in the can so that they don't get crushed. And then last but not least, for her drink today, Natalie requested any kind of fruit juice, so I decided to throw in this really cute unicorn good to go drink, and this is actually a fruit and veggie blend. But don't worry guys, it doesn't taste like veggies at all. With this one, you really only taste strawberry and kiwi. And there you have it guys, I absolutely love the way this lunch turned out. And I hope Natalie loves it too. This next lunch idea was sent in by Claudia. She is 19 years old and is from Croatia. For this lunch, I'm going to start by adding in the thermos again. I'm going to be making a hot lunch. Now, I'm curious to know how many times a week you guys like to have hot lunch. I'm gonna go ahead and put a poll right here so you guys can let me know. For Claudia's lunch, I'm going to need some potatoes. These are fingerling potatoes. That means they're really small and they cook super fast. I'm also going to need some butter. I'm using my favorite Kerrygold butter here. And then to make these potatoes taste delicious, I'm gonna be using lots of different herbs and spices. Things like salt and pepper, of course, but also rosemary, garlic, a little bit of thyme. I'm just going to slice these potatoes, add in some butter, sprinkle all the seasonings on, and roast them in the oven. For my next step, I'm going to prepare some fruit, which by the way, we're doubling up on again. And for Claudia's lunch, she requested both mango, which I already have sliced up, and watermelon. Now for the watermelon, I am going to go ahead and use my melon baller again, but instead of using the bigger end, I'm going to go ahead and use the mini side. I don't think I've ever used it before. It works just the same, but you're left with teeny tiny little melon balls instead. And then of course there's the mango. I've already sliced them, but now I just need to remove the skin and they'll be ready to go. Now I know I've said this before, but since we've moved to Florida, we have been super excited about all the different fruits and vegetables that are available, especially the mango, because not only are they really delicious, but they're like half the price of what we were paying for them in California. So mangoes are definitely the new favorite around our house. Okay guys, so here's our lunch so far. You can see I already have the roasted potatoes in there. I also have a few pieces of fried chicken. This is just store-bought fried chicken. Claudia requested that to go along with the potatoes, so I just added that in there. And then of course over on this side, I've already added the fruit. Now instead of adding a regular food pick today, I thought it'd be really cute to add in these mini forks. I found these at Daiso. Unfortunately, there are not that many Daisos in the US, but if you have the chance to go to one, I definitely recommend you check it out. It's basically the Japanese dollar store. Next up, I'm going to prepare some cucumber. And now, as you can see, I already removed about 50% of the cucumber skin. First, I'm just making thin slices, just like this. And then what I like to do is add my slices to a skewer, and then I rotate every other slice of cucumber, kind of like a really fun puzzle, and I'm left with this really fun checkerboard pattern. Now I'll go ahead and pull it off the skewer because I don't think that's gonna fit in our lunchbox. I'll pack these tightly into the lunchbox so that they'll stay in their pattern. And then instead of ranch for dipping, Claudia requested honey mustard sauce. So I have a little bit in this container. I just want to get my lid on and then fit it right down next to the cucumber. Now for her drink today, Claudia requested sparkling water. I have a case of cranberry flavored water, apricot, lemon, mango, berry, and I have quite a lot of these cucumber mint sparkling waters as well. The only thing I don't have is plain sparkling water. So I think out of all of these choices, for Claudia's lunch, I'm gonna put in lemon. For Claudia's snack, I'm adding some chips, and she requested a sweet chili flavored chip. And then for her treat, she requested some tea cookies. Now you guys, I'm really excited now that we live close to Publix grocery stores. They have a really good international section with lots of things that I could never find before, including things like tea biscuits. At my Publix, there was actually several different kinds to choose from, but I decided to go with these ones. Let me know in the comments down below if you eat tea biscuits. So I'm just adding a few to the separate container. And then just for fun, I'm gonna throw in some fruit snacks as well. These just fit perfectly right in here. And there you have it, there's everything in Claudia's lunch. Now that brings us to Mary's lunch idea. Mary is 28 years old, and for her lunch, I'm planning something a little tropical. As you can tell, we have lots of fun fruits that are going in this lunch, but I'm also gonna be making a really interesting main course, something that I've never made before, but it sounds really good. For Mary's lunch today, she requested nacho mac and cheese. Now you guys know I've made a ton of mac and cheese on this channel, but never nacho mac and cheese. That sounds really good. Since I've never made this before, I'm actually following a recipe. I'll link it down below if you guys want to make this yourself, but basically it's really simple. I'm just adding a can of nacho cheese soup. This is condensed. To this, I'm also going to be adding 3/4 cup milk and 3/4 cup water. Now I'm going to whisk this all together until it's totally combined. And then once it's boiling, I'm going to add 1 cup of macaroni noodles. They're gonna cook directly into the sauce. And about 10 minutes later, boom, nacho mac and cheese. Now to go along with that, Mary also requested a combination of pineapple and mango. So as you can see, I've already chunked up the pineapple and sliced into my mango. Now to go on the side, Mary requested a combination of refried beans and Spanish rice. And I didn't end up making these from scratch. I did just go ahead and get these at the grocery store. I just heated them up and then stuck them into the lunchbox. Next up, I'm going to be adding some slices of pepper, both yellow and red, right into there. And instead of just regular ranch for dipping this in, Mary requested avocado ranch. Next, I'm adding in the pineapple and the mango chunks. I'll go ahead and add a little pineapple pick in there. This is perfect for today's lunch. For Mary's drink, she also requested some sparkling water, so I decided to go with the mango flavored one since I already know that Mary likes mangoes. And then Mary doesn't normally eat a sweet treat with her lunch, but she thought this would be a really good addition to this kind of lunch. Now I'm not quite sure what this is called, but basically you take a tortilla and then you spread some melted butter on it, and then you top it with a little bit of sugar. Not too much, I'm just going to sprinkle some right onto here. And then lastly, I'm gonna add a little bit of cinnamon, and then I'm going to pop this into the oven until it's nice and crispy. Now once this is cooled down, I will go ahead and break it into smaller pieces so I can fit it in a separate container. And that is everything in Mary's lunch today. Okay guys, let me know in the comments down below, out of all the lunches I showed you this week, which one was your favorite? Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.